Hello, everyone.
Hey, audience.
I'm Sarah,
And this is Cole.
and you're listening to Borrowed Bones, a podcast about interesting, intriguing, and dysfunctional families. Whether you are related by blood or by bond, we can all agree that families bring us up and tear us down. We are here to dust off those closeted skeletons and take a closer look at where hiding away.
Yeah.
All right.
What we talking about today?
Today, we are going to go pretty far back.
Oh, the Wayback Machine. How far back we going?
The 1500s,
Oh,
maybe 1300s, into like the 1700s.
okay. That's a
It's a wide range.
Okay.
Yep, we're kind of all over the place. And we're also finally leaving America.
Oh, good.
We're heading over to Scotland.
A little bit of wish fulfillment.
Yes, I'm in a different place today.
Yeah.
We're going to start in Scotland in the 1500s. But first, before we really get into everything, I just wanted to remind everyone what I mentioned in the last episode about how to engage with us a little bit more.
Oh, yeah,
and since we don't have a Facebook or an Instagram, but we do have that lovely send us a text button. So if you're streaming this, listening on your mobile device, which I'm sure most of you are, you can look at the episode's cover art. And then if you scroll just a little bit, you'll see in the description, send us a text. Click on it. Send us a text. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be responding and reading.
Yes. Most
They go to
likely
her.
shout outs and stuff on the episode.
Yeah.
I don't know how to respond directly back to the person. But yeah, I'm excited to hear and see what everyone has to say. And without further ado, let's head on over to Scotland.
All right. Cross the pond.
Now, this story of this family in Scotland is really well known for being the inspiration for The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wes Craven classic.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I've ever watched the whole movie. I always end up leaving.
Well, there's the original, which came out in late 70s. And then there was the
Okay.
remake that came out in the aughts when they were doing like a remake of all the
That
horror
one,
movies
yeah.
from the 70s and the 80s.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
the remake was like, yeah. First
Yeah.
one's better, of course, obviously.
I can't watch either of them because if you've ever seen The Hills Have Eyes or know about it, it is like a group of cannibals. I think they're a family or it's kind of understood, and they ambush and kill
Wayward
travelers.
travelers.
I mean, there's a lot more blood and gore to it. I don't want to get into that. But yes, so
They
this...
live in like the Southwest. The American
Yes.
Southwest. In the movies.
In the
they live
movie,
in like
yeah.
the deserts of Arizona, New Mexico, and
Mhm.
hunt families out vacationing in their Winnebagos.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Mm-mm.
They all have like Roman god names too. I remember that weird detail. Like there's
We don't have to
Mars
keep
and-
talking about
Sorry,
that.
yeah,
I'm getting
divergent.
visuals are coming back, trauma, gotta love
Yeah.
it.
Let's talk
So-
about Inspired it then.
Yes. I'd prefer that.
I know.
Yeah. So the family we are talking about today inspired this movie, but they are, of course, in Scotland. And this clan of people, this brood,
Brood. Good
Yeah.
word. Yes, the brood.
the brood, they killed, robbed, and ate an estimated 1,000 people over the course of a few decades.
Okay. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm going to say those numbers are exaggerated because all numbers back then of like anything was, but I'm sure they killed a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
We are talking about Alexander, Sawney, Bean, and the Bean Clan.
oh, Bean Boys.
Yeah, so Alexander, Sawney Bean. A lot of people have heard about Sawney Bean,
Yeah, I
but
know the name.
I never really knew the story behind it, though. But I have heard the name Sawney Bean,
Mhm.
and I was really interested to go down this rabbit hole.
I know the gist, but just like a paragraph's worth of knowledge. Obviously, you're going to
What do you know?
tell me.
Because we haven't talked about this.
Really, just that I didn't know his first name was even Alexander. I just knew
Oh, okay.
Sawney Bean was a guy in Scotland in the late Middle Ages who
Mm-hmm.
lived in the sticks. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
a cave or the woods. Had a lot of kids and was a highwayman robber killer. That's all I know, though.
All right, cool. Okay, I think that's roughly what most people know.
Yeah, broad strokes.
Right. So Alexander Sawney Bean was born in the 16th century-ish, like the 1500s. And I saw multiple times. Now, I will admit that I did not look up the pronunciation of any of this. And I'm going to try like one time and then I'm going to breeze past it. And if you're angry and want me to know how to pronounce it, you can send us a text. Thank you. So Alexander Sawney Bean was born in the 16th century in Lothian, Scotland.
Okay.
And it's set around like the 1530s, really, Middle Ages.
Right. Records, there's no like birth certificates, obviously.
No, roughly. I mean, there are some versions of Sawney Bean being born in the 1400s.
Okay.
But most of them say mid 1500s.
All right. Yeah. Records are scarce.
Very scarce.
It's oral tradition, mostly for the records. For the poor people, anyway.
Yeah. Sawney was born to a Scottish laborer in Galway. His dad was a hedger and a digger. So like ditches, landscaping.
Trimmed hedges and dug ditches.
So like hard labor version of it. You're not doing like fancy stuff here.
Yeah.
Maybe a little, but yeah, you know what I mean.
You're one of those fancy diggers we have today.
I meant to say like landscaper, gardener, but I only thought of fancy digger.
They're one of those fancy hedge trimmers. A topiarist?
I don't know.
Is that the word? I don't know. Topiary is the art.
I'm putting in double time here. I'm trying to batch and I'm doing a lot this week, so just bear with me.
Yeah. All right. Back on track.
Yep. The Bean family was known like as Sawney as a young child and his parents. His family.
He's a lad.
Yes. They're known for their honesty and hard work. But Sawney, he didn't want anything to do with it. In all of the accounts that I read of this, it's consistent that he does not want a life of manual labor. He tried it, wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Now, even though the family was held in high regard, they're honest, hardworking people, Sawney was still repeatedly beaten by his dad.
I mean, it is still the time.
That's what I thought too. I was like, it tracks. Yeah. That's just
the whole idea that you just shouldn't
guy.
Beat your kids all the time is such a novel idea. I mean, in our human history, like it's in like
it's like a newer thing to not beat you.
Yeah.
What's wild to me is
like
that
our parents were beat all the time. Like our parents' generation.
Yeah.
Like it's only like in the last couple generations that we're like, maybe we shouldn't hit our kids.
I think
there's been outliers, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it's kind of crazy that we've evolved to beat our kids at all.
We're a violent species inherently.
But do you see, I mean, I guess other animals eat their young.
Yeah.
We are what we are.
Other primates will smack their kids to
That's true.
put them in line.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to move past it, you know. Well, he didn't like it. He did not like being beaten all the time by his dad. And
it'd be weirder if he really did like it.
Yeah.
Hit me again, Daddy.
Thanks, Daddy.
Stop getting off on the punishment. What have I made?
Ew.
Maybe that's what led to all this.
Oh, man. Okay. So the beatings probably did have a reason, or they probably were the reason that Sawney left home. I read that he ran away, but I also read that he left, and I feel like he's an adult, and even if you're like 12 at this time, that wouldn't be considered running away. So he left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, like running away, like there's no CPS to check.
Yeah,
like you're like family living out in the sticks. The kid's just not there one day. Well,
yeah.
Kid's gone.
Yeah. I think they wanted to make the story a little more dramatic.
Yeah.
So after Sawney left, he met a woman named Agnes Douglas. She was also known as Black Agnes, and she was accused of being a witch.
Okay.
So the two of them, they decided to shun society, and they ran away, and they lived in a cave.
Spicy.
Benane Cave.
Benane?
I don't know. That's not it, I don't think. But it's spelled Benane.
Okay.
Benane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Benani.
I don't know this Scottish. I can barely understand Scottish.
Yeah.
It's English.
Exactly.
Being spoken with a Scottish accent. I don't know what they're saying half the time. No offense.
Yeah. So that's the cave that most people agree that they were living in.
Cave dwellers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. since they both refused to actually work for a living, Sawney turned to ambushing travelers and robbing them and then eating them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was just his go-to, I guess. I don't know the in-between there.
Yeah.
I tried to find it, and there was no, like, okay, he
Yeah,
got married,
the-
kind of shunned society, and then now he's a cannibal.
Guessing it probably wasn't his first resort. Like they
I would
probably
think
tried for a
not.
while to live off the land, maybe at least just hunting, but maybe he wasn't a good hunter.
Yeah, and hunting is harder, I
Yeah.
would think, than ambushing, because you know how to predict a human and
Yeah.
a person.
You know,
can,
you wait on the road. You're a highwayman.
Yeah.
You just wait for the next
it's a lot easier to
cart
do
or
that.
horse to come by carrying someone, and there you go.
Yeah, so maybe,
Hunting deer and
Yeah.
wild game is not for everyone.
right.
Maybe it started robbing and it probably started incrementally.
Probably is what I would think. And then they got hungry enough and
Yeah.
they're like, well, this is meat, so let's try it. And they say that once you've had a taste of human flesh,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
never go back.
Yeah. You get the hunger.
Yeah, is that from
It's a
Always
novel-
Sunny?
Yeah, that's yeah. When Charlie
Got
and
the
Dee
hunger.
think when Frank tricks them into thinking they've eaten human meat,
And then they want to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler, turns out they just had a tapeworm.
Gross. Well, Sawney very easily turned into cannibalism, and Black Agnes was like, sick, let's do it. Go.
Mhm. Oh yeah, she's already a witch too. So
Yeah, she's already a witch. Like, they're just living up to what people expect
their
of them.
reputation.
Their reputation.
Of course, she could have been labeled Black Agnes like after like revisionist history.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's speculation, but
I don't know. There's really not much about
Yeah.
this. Yeah, we can speculate a lot here.
Yeah.
Fill in the blanks. I think that's why this is such a fun story. Not fun, interesting for people to
Yeah.
talk about, because it is a little different every time you see it.
yeah, it's kind of like Robin Hood and like did
Yeah.
it ever? I mean, I think we agree that he did. The records are that he did exist. This is all true.
Who?
Sonny Bean,
Right.
like but it's a lot of it's filled in by like folklore.
Maybe.
and we don't know like where the
I'm not sure.
truth ends and the myth begins.
We'll see.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I did a little dance there.
Okay.
So the cave that Sawney and Black Agnes found
Mhm.
was really perfect. And this cave does exist.
Okay. It's a real cave you can go to.
I looked it up. Yep, you can go to it. And there's people on YouTube that have gone to it to retrace the steps of Sawney and Agnes and their Bean clan.
Okay.
So it is real. And the cave is really interesting because it's very secluded, obviously, as a cave, but twice a day, the entrance is covered by the high tide.
Oh.
Right.
So is it on the coast of the ocean?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yes. And so they're able to hide completely covered up
Yeah.
twice a day.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the reasons people think maybe they did kill 1,000 people over the course of 20, 25 years and got away with it because no one could find them. Sawney and Agnes, they would go on to have 8 sons and 6 daughters.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So they're getting to work there, doing what else can you do?
And I imagine they're not sending their kids to school to meet other kids
Well, the sons and daughters, they had children of their own.
with each other, right?
Yep.
Mm.
Eventually, the sons and daughters would give Sawney and Agnes 32 incestuous grandchildren.
Wow.
32.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big family. I didn't read anything about anyone dying of childbirth or anything, so they're pretty lucky, I guess.
Well, there's probably more that did die and just
That's a lot,
weren't
though.
free-court,
My
yeah.
God.
32. Damn.
Yeah. So obviously at this point, a few decades have gone by, and now the Bean clan was up to 48 members.
All living in this cave.
Yes. The cave is big.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
it is.
it's big, windy, so it's really perfect for them to hide away and be
Ooh.
secluded.
I know something else that's influenced.
What?
This one of the gangs in Red Dead Redemption 2 is based off this called the Murph-Free Brood. And they live in the giant cave and they're like an inbred clan. And
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Mm.
there's dozens of them. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I don't play it, but I've not seen that scene.
Yeah, when I get to it in the story, I'm playing it again now. So when we get to the story, when I get to that part, I'll call you in.
Let me know. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, Sawney, of course, taught his sons the family business. They would all go out as a group and they would ambush travelers that were coming through. And as I said, it's estimated they killed around 1,000 people with this technique.
This method?
Yeah, this method.
This MO, this modus operandi.
Yes. Even though they robbed and killed and ate their victims, you would think there's not really much evidence left, but there still are some pieces that need to be discarded, just naturally. Yeah. And when they would toss these discarded pieces out, they would end up in the water and they'd wash up on shore for locals to find.
Okay.
People clearly can see that it's a human bone, an article of clothing, maybe little pieces, never, ever a whole body, though. And they tell
eaten. They don't.
Yes.
They're not ones to waste a good shank.
Yeah. So no full body was ever found. And the local authorities were told about these little human pieces and remains on the shore. But as I said, when the authorities went to investigate, they couldn't find the source because the cave was covered up at this time. So they had to chalk it up to maybe they'll find it later, or it's from somewhere far away and just washed up here, or an animal,
parts that
or
have just been in the water for
who knows?
They might have been killed across the ocean and drifted. I mean, not really, but they could have been died out to sea, and
they wouldn't know.
Currents are weird.
And it's said that the Bean clan got so good at ambushing and killing travelers that Sawney and his sons could kill up to 6 people at a time.
Oh.
Like they got efficient with it.
Yeah.
And then the women would be in the cave waiting for the meat to come. They'd butcher, carve it up, and get it ready to go. Now, one night, there was a fair happening in a nearby village.
Ooh.
Yeah, fun time.
Carnival.
A couple was traveling, a husband and wife, or a couple, not sure, but, man, woman.
You don't know if they were living in sin or not?
I have no clue.
Damn. Okay.
They were traveling through after enjoying the night at the fair, and then they were ambushed by the Bean Brood.
Mm-hmm.
The Bean Brood. I'm going to call them that.
Sounds like a type of soup.
Ew. Yeah.
Bean broth. That's what I'm thinking of.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they were ambushed by the Bean Brood, and the woman was the first one taken off the horse, and her clothes were torn off, her throat was slit, and then she was disemboweled.
Okay.
And some stories say that they started eating her right then and there.
They just went raw?
Right. And then some stories say that that's how they killed her. And they didn't mention eating her at that moment.
Yeah.
So just interesting. I like to include all the details.
Okay.
As this is happening, the partner is the male. He's seeing this happen. He's still on his horse, thinking quickly. He's like, well, they're going to come for me next. He lunges the horse at them to stir them up, and they're fighting and doing things. As the fight is happening, 20 people come up from around the bend because they're also coming home from the fair.
20
just normal people.
Okay.
Yep, non-bean brood, just actual people.
Yeah.
As if
Festival
the beans
goers.
aren't people, but you know what I mean. Yes, festival goers. They come, they see what's going on, and the boys and Sawney, realizing, well, they can't really fight them off, they run back.
Is up.
Yeah, they scamper back into the clan. Yeah, they run away. Ugh,
all you can eat buffet is done.
Yeah, so gross. So they run away to hide in the cave. This was the first time that there was ever a survivor from an encounter from the beans.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
The beans scattered, and so the male survived.
So this is the first time there's witnesses, the first time there's a survivor, the first time anyone saw them, all of it. So to the townspeople or the locals in the area, they were just having people go missing.
Yeah.
And I only read this in one spot, but it said that authorities wrote the longest list of missing persons around this time.
Oh.
Yeah. No evidence of it. Again, I read it in one spot. I don't think that's true.
Anecdotal color.
Yeah. I think people were missing and they didn't know what to do
everything
about
in
it.
history, the numbers are always exaggerated for everything.
It's the longest in history. It's the biggest. It's the best.
It's going to be bigger than ever.
The biggest
Bigger
missing persons list you've ever imagined. Jesus Christ.
So bigly.
So the husband escaped. And he would go home and he would go on to meet with the magistrate of Glasgow. And he told him all about it. He's like,
They ate my wife.
Oh my God. This brood of beans, they ate my wife. They ate my wife. Oh my gosh. That has to be horrible to explain.
I like how he didn't get off the horse at all during his wife being ripped apart.
Well, there was
like in real time. Like he saw all this detail. And
well, the way it's described in the stories that it happened very fast. I mean, there's like 20 men.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. What is he going to do? Get down and fight them? It's probably shocking.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I wouldn't jump down for you. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Thank you. The magistrate, after hearing about this, he went straight to the King of Scotland, which is also King James I of England.
I know the last King of Scotland was Idi Amin. That's a joke. Never mind.
What?
Idi Amin, the Ugandan dictator, he declared himself the last King of Scotland. But he was crazy. He had a fascination with Scottish culture. And so when he was the dictator of Uganda, he was like, that's mine too.
Okay. That was a good joke you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone gets it.
If you know what Idi Amin. I just doubled down
on
God. Idi Amin jokes.
Good job.
You're all welcome.
All right, that's enough of that. Where was I? Oh, King James.
Yeah.
So the King of Scotland at this time, because there's even, with the time frame being so broad, there's even other kings that I ran into for this too. So we're just going to say the current King of Scotland at the time of
probably
the being
half of them
brewed.
are named James too.
They are. They're all just different numbers. Yeah. So the King of Scotland, after hearing this, he orders a massive search of 400 people and bloodhounds. So they're all looking for the Bean clan.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for hours and hours, and they can't find them. They have no idea where they are. I mean, they're obviously in the area of where they saw them, but they can't find the cave.
Yeah.
It's covered and since there's water there, the bloodhounds can't get them. So they're getting tired and they're about to give up. The bloodhounds catch a scent.
Ooh.
I don't know if the water started receding, and so they were able to finally smell it, and they were going wild. They led the group to the entrance of the cave, and then they went into the bean lair.
Yeah, the devil's den.
Mm-hmm. The search party and the officials that were with them saw, as they walked in, they saw dozens of body parts. And there were human limbs hung up, like you would see in the butcher shop.
An abattoir.
Yeah, there were some stories that I read that said there were pieces of meat that were being pickled in barrels or in jars, whatever they could find.
Yeah.
I guess they
You got to preserve it. I mean,
right.
You can't
You never
depend
know.
on
You never know.
travelers. What do you get hungry? You want a late night snack? You can't just.
Right.
What if there's no one there coming down the road?
Yeah. It's not like that was traveled daily.
Yeah.
So, so they had pickled meat.
Yeah.
There were.
Salt it.
I'm sure. Yeah. Is there probably salt in the cave from the ocean?
Yeah. They
can collect it easily. Yeah. Oh, God. And there were piles of clothes, jewels, people's personal belongings. All of that was right there in this bean lair.
Yeah.
They were very promptly placed under arrest. And the king...
Well, they were in there? They were just hanging out? They didn't
hide? They were in there.
They didn't fight? There wasn't like a...
I think they tried. I did read it. They tried a little bit, but for the most part, it was like there's 400 against 48. Yeah. So I think they were just like, we're done.
I guess I thought they'd be so feral they just wouldn't be taken alive kind of thing. Just like...
It's only 2 generations of inbreeding.
Yeah.
Only one.
But the second generation, second and third have been isolated to only each other and their parents.
Yeah, I mean, the first
lives.
Set of children, they were only in a cave their whole lives.
They're not
That's it.
Socialized beyond their family.
Yeah, I kind of was expecting more of a hurrah as well. But no, the most I saw was kind of a little bit just to say you tried and then that's it. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, they're taken alive.
Yep, they're taken alive. The king marched the Bean family to Edinburgh, and he skipped the trial. He didn't do a sentencing, nothing. All the men, women, and children. He sentenced the entire family to death. All of them.
Yeah.
they were viewed as subhuman.
Yeah.
No one wanted them around. Everyone thought they were gross, and they took care of it real quick. There were 27 men of the clan, and they all had their limbs cut off, arms, legs. Some say hands, but I saw arms and legs. I saw some accounts said their penises were cut off. Some accounts didn't mention that, so I don't know. But all of them say that they were left to bleed out.
Okay.
That's how they died.
Like quartered almost.
Yes, that's what they compare it to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the women had to watch.
Okay.
And now I don't know where the children...
He's my brother. He's my husband. He's my brother. He's my husband.
He's my husband, brother.
Yeah. Uncle Daddy?
Yeah.
No, Grandpa Daddy.
Oh,
yeah.
Gross. But, and I don't know how the children were split up in this, if they were split up by gender or if the children all just went with the women. But either way, there's only 2 forms of death. And this is how they died, all of them. So men died that way. Women had to watch that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then they died burning at the stake, like witches.
Oh.
Yes. And there's some accounts of Sawney being defiant to the end, non-remorseful. And then there's other accounts of Black Agnes being defiant to the end.
Okay. They weren't remorseful.
Right.
Yeah. Defiant till the end.
Mm-hmm. That's how it ends. And it's been spoken about in like Scottish lore as kind of a warning for kids of not being lazy. You might turn into this, a boogeyman type of thing. However, what if it didn't happen? What if he doesn't exist? What if they don't exist?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no evidence at all.
Oh, none.
None of this clan existing. There's no trial, which is pretty convenient for no paperwork. And if the legends are true and they were, I mean, even though they weren't as big as they probably are said to be, if there was some truth to it, there would be a family made out of like incest a little bit and cannibals. But no one writes about it. No one talks about
no
it.
contemporary sources.
There's nothing at the time about them at all.
All the stuff comes up saying this, or this happened hundreds of years ago.
Mm-hmm. The first time it's written is in the 1700s.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why I said we're spanning
there
in the 1500s.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
All
and
right.
it's not even in Scotland that it's mentioned.
Oh.
The story's set in Scotland, but the publication is in England.
Oh.
Yes.
I wonder if it was some kind of vilifying Scottish.
It was.
Okay. Anti-Scottish propaganda.
Mm-hmm. The English publication, the Newgate Calendar, is a crime catalog, was how it was described.
Yeah. Dime novels.
Stuff like that.
Would evolved into detective stories later on in the 20th century.
Mm-hmm. It was 200 years after the fact of this quote, air quotes, Sawney Bean and the Bean Clan, that they are being published, that they're being talked about. So the English publication, they decided to demonize the Scots and make them seem more barbaric than they really were. And looking back on it, historians today believe that there was still tension from rebellions that were happening in the area. And so the English were upset about it still.
Yeah.
Even though Alexander Bean and his family may not have existed, the myth still was born from something.
Yeah.
So where did the seed of the story come from? There's always a seed, right? There's always something. There is a little truth behind the cannibal side of things. There's a man named Andrew Christie Cleek. He's known as Cleek. Cleek.
Okay.
Now, Cleek was a butcher in Perth, Scotland, and he became a highway robber man out of necessity in the mid-1300s. He would use a long pole, like a shepherd's pole, with a hook at the end to pull riders down off of their horses.
Oh.
And this was called a cleek in Scotland. So hence his name, Christie Cleek. Now, there was a famine happening around this time in Scotland.
Yeah.
Things were tough. Cleek joined a group of scavengers on the foothills of the Grampians, and they were vibing, going around, trying their best to survive. And The first step into their cannibal lifestyle happened when a man would die. A man of their group would die. And with Cleek having been a butcher in the past, he took it upon himself to butcher the body, cut it up, prepare it, and feed it to the other men.
Okay. So he wasn't killing. They just made the best of a bad situation when someone would die.
In the beginning.
Why waste it?
In the beginning, yeah. And now having the taste for human flesh, the story goes that Cleek became their leader and they would roam the countryside actively hunting for victims now.
Oh.
They would ambush travelers and eat them and their horses.
Yeah. If you get the horse, why do you need to eat the person? Like unless cannibalism is just like your thing now.
That's how the story goes. They just love human flesh now. I don't know.
Yeah.
What? I mean, maybe they just, with the famine being so bad, they wanted to keep all the meat, but you can't eat it all together.
Yeah,
I mean,
you gotta salt it.
I'm sure he's a butcher. I'm sure he knew how to. There was not much detail in this.
Yeah.
The gang would end up murdering up to about 30 people.
Okay, that's a more reasonable number than the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When the government forces arrived to capture the gang, Cleek was said to be the only one that escaped, and he fled. His whereabouts were never truly known, but the theory is that Cleek moved to the town of Dumfries and acquired a new name, David Maxwell.
Took on an alias.
Yes. Under this new identity, he got married, had 3 daughters, and he enjoyed a nice life as a merchant.
Oh.
Just became a family man.
The hunger went away.
Yeah, the hunger went away. He retired.
When his economic fortunes changed, he stopped resorting to desperate acts, essentially.
Yes. Isn't that crazy how money can solve a lot of people's problems?
Yeah.
That's wild.
And how lack of
can cause a lot of problems.
To people eating each other.
It is said that he confessed who he truly was on his deathbed.
Awesome. And
Cleek is mentioned in a Scotland chronicle in 1420.
Okay.
So it's still a little bit later, but not as big, and it's at least in Scotland. And the author wrote an interesting little, lyric, I guess.
Was it a limerick?
Limerick. It's in very old Scottish English, so it's difficult to understand. But he wrote of Christy Cleek, he says, a figure called Custon Cleek, who set up traps to slay children and women, and he ate them all that he get might. So basically, he's accusing him of trapping women and children, which
all that he could.
Isn't the story that I was reading, but that's the only thing that mentions it. So I'm like, if that's the first written word about Cleek, how did I not see that he killed women and children? Because everything I read was travelers. But it didn't specify either. So just very interesting where these myths and legends come from.
And it's interesting that in the Sawney Bean lore, when a man and woman are riding together, it's the woman who's killed and the man gets away.
Right. So maybe that's connected somehow. Now there's another theory.
Okay.
In 1577, there was an English chronicler who wrote about a Scottish man that fed on the flesh of women and children in 1341.
All right.
But that's an English one, so who knows? That's also a few hundred years after the fact. But now this one is, I think, pretty interesting. There are some court records from that time stating that there's a husband and wife in Perth, Scotland, that were executed for cannibalism.
Wow. They don't name them, though?
No.
Okay.
And Christy Cleek is from Perth, Scotland. And so, and this was the same time frame that Cleek was doing his killing spree.
But Cleek
could be a legend himself.
Yeah.
So I think, from my reading, that it's all this cannibalistic couple here.
Okay.
Because I looked into it, I looked up, were there a lot of famines in Scotland at this time? And there were. Yeah. Everywhere in Europe in the Middle Ages, there were just a bunch of famines. And during those specific times, there really were. And there are multiple real accounts of cannibalism occurring in those areas. So these stories did come from a seed, but there was never a Sawney bean and a bean brood. And there probably was never a Christie clique.
Yeah.
But there probably was a couple in Perth, Scotland in the 1300s that killed at least one person and ate them.
It probably was just one person.
It probably was just one person. And I don't even know if they killed them.
They probably did it out of desperation.
Yeah, they might not even kill them. Who knows?
Grandpa died in his sleep and we ate him.
I did see there was what was called the Great Famine of 1315 through 1317.
Okay.
And then there was another famine in the 1340s in Scotland. So, yeah, that's the seed of it all. But I think that because Europe and the Middle Ages were so intense about teaching young children how not to be little shits, that they used truth and their own generational trauma from famine. But Sawney Bean is also a story told to children to not be lazy, to be a good worker, to be a good person. You know, you can't like turn your back on your family because he walked away from his parents. And
you got to work to make your food. You
right.
Gotta, when you can, because
you don't want to die this way.
If you had worked hard and preserved your food, now you're either starving or resorting to cannibalism.
Right.
So it's a warning on all fronts.
Yes. It's all a warning.
You gotta work hard. Why do you have to work hard? So that you have food.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agricultural is propaganda.
I mean, the downfall really did start with agriculture.
Yeah. And famine is a result of agriculture.
Yeah.
As far as it affects us.
Right.
In the sense that there's going to be times of food shortages. Well, the first species to be like, well, I'm not moving.
Right. You move when there's food shortage. Yeah. Like we might not be the cause of the famine, but it happens and animals, normal animals move and migrate to find the food. We just go, no.
Yeah. We've stopped moving.
We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found this very interesting, and I think, Sawney Bean is a story a lot of people know. Again, in reference to The Hills Have Eyes. No, I do not want to watch that. Don't even suggest it.
Papa Jupiter? That was the
Stop.
It just came to me.
Oh, I don't need it to come to me.
Papa
Stop.
Jupiter.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Send us a text, or you can follow us on Blue Sky at Borrowed Bones. We do not have a Facebook or an Instagram, so follow us on Blue Sky at Borrowed Bones. And my personal Blue Sky is Daughter of Marauders.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope we hear from some of you soon.
Yes, indeed.
Bye.
Bye.